Hi everyone. I have had a request for extra practice for a particular topic from a student, and I thought it might be a good idea. I have three great options to share them with the whole class. Now, I am doing this specifically for my Math 103, and the student was asking about extra practice with fractions, specifically multiplying and dividing. But everything that I'm talking about in this video can be used for any topic. Um, I'm going to show you three options for where to get extra practice. So, if you're in a course like this one that we are using MyMathLab, then your first go-to should be MyMathLab. Click on the Access Pearson link over in the left-hand column, and then click on all the buttons to actually go into the MyMathLab website. You've paid for this, and there are lots of resources in it that you may or may not be aware of. Just to let you know, there is a video in the getting started top 10 that does show you these things. You either, if you've forgotten about it or never watched it, I did make you aware of this at the beginning, but just to refresh your memory. Now, our screens when we enter MyMathLab are going to look different, maybe because it's a different course, but also just because this is the instructor screen and yours will be for you, not for me. Now, over here on the left-hand side, we have a menu, and one of the buttons says Study Plan. There is a whole video again in the Getting Started modules that will go in more detail with the study plan. But when you open this is going to be aligned to the textbook that we are using. Let me get rid of that. And when you open this, since this particular class, you've taken lots of quizzes and then your tests, the study plan recommendations will be different for every student. Now, you're seeing for me, it's recommending that I start in chapter 0 and then 1.1, 1.2, but that's because I've not done any work in this course. So it's having me start at the beginning. Now, when you open this, it's going to be tailored to you and how you've done on your unit quizzes and tests. So that's what the recommended page is. You'll notice for any of these topics, when you get to this level of looking at a particular skill to study, there is a practice button and a quiz me button. It's totally up to you. This is just extra for you. I would recommend perhaps starting with the quiz me, and then if you ace through it, uh, it takes that off your list of things to study. If you don't, then you can always go into the practice. But keep in mind, all of the things that I'm showing you, this is the entire textbook worth of questions. I didn't ask you every single question from the textbook. I picked certain things. So just keep in mind as you work through these topics, you might encounter things that you're like, I've never seen this before. We didn't talk about this. And so you'd have to use your best judgment whether or not it's worth spending time on. It's probably a good idea to um, just just treat it with like use your own best judgment. Don't get trapped for hours on a question. Move on to something else. Again, it might be something that we're not covering. So just keep that in mind. Now, in Math 103 specifically, we cover most of the topics in the textbook, so it's probably safe to do any of the items. Just again, don't get trapped in a cycle of one topic and not look at anything else. So, if you don't want to look at the recommendations, then, or if there's a particular skill that you're trying to practice, like multiplying and dividing fractions, if I go to all chapters, then I get a list of all of the things in this textbook. I can see this one, chapter 2 is the multiplying and dividing part. Notice chapter 3 is adding and subtracting. These two do tend to be hard for students, particularly if you're doing that without a calculator. Now you could click on it here and it's going to give you the whole list of all the questions, or if you click on the little plus, it's going to divide that into um, the individual little topics within that chapter. If I specifically wanted to work on multiplying fractions, then I'm going to click again and you can see the different types of questions. So I can click on the big section and I'll get all of the types. It's still broken down, right? This is just multiplying fractions. This is solving applications. That's the word problem part that the student particularly said, hey, I need help with this. So here are, what is that, 12 extra practice questions specifically just looking at word problems that deal with multiplying fractions. Notice the ones that have little film strips next to it tell you that there is a video that you can watch with that as well. So, getting in and looking at these questions gives you tons of extra practice. And then you could also go back. Let's see if I can go back. And then do the same thing for dividing fractions if you want to do that. Now, on the test, it won't be divided. Like if I'm picking specifically to practice dividing fractions, I'm not practicing the skill of determining whether I need to divide or multiply, which, of course, is part of it. So it has some limitations, but be aware this is all available to you. It's included. So that's option number one. You can go to the study plan in my math lab. Now, option number two is ChatGPT or any kind of AI that you prefer. I just want you to be aware I know some people are very familiar with this and some people are not. ChatGPT is actually a great tutor, particularly if you tell it you're trying to learn something. Of course, it will just give you the answers, but that doesn't do you any good when it comes to taking the test. So, when you type this in, ChatGPT has a study mode. You can ask about that. You can tell it, I'm trying to learn how to multiply and divide fractions. Can you help me with that? And it's super friendly, probably the nicest tutor you're ever going to meet. And it's going to go through and give you lots of ways to do that. And if you're like, no, I don't want all that. I specifically, whatever your question is, can you give me some extra practice? And it will. So there's a few practice questions, practice dividing. If you get stuck on something, you can tell. You can also take a picture of your assignment or a particular question. If there's a question you don't understand, you can take a picture of that particular question and submit it, like load it up into the chat. And sorry about that, phone ringing in background. You can load that question into chat and then it will help you work through that question. And again, the point is, sure, it can give you the answers too, but you can ask it, I don't understand how you got that answer. What are the key words? How am I supposed to know this is what I was supposed to do? Right? Chat is super helpful. So know that that is an option. Your third option, I know some people are really sketchy about AI, which is fine, is to do Khan Academy. KhanAcademy.com. Tell it your learner's going to ask you all this stuff. I would recommend that you consider if this is your option, I would recommend that you do consider making an account. It's free, and signing up for it because it will track your progress. So this is good for any course, any topic. I'm just going to go to Explore because I don't necessarily want to sign up right now. And I'm going to pick like what I'm looking for. And obviously, we're in college, but we are learning this is practice of some basic math skills. So I'm just going to click on math multiple grades. And then you can get more in depth as to what you want. Now, adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing fractions is arithmetic. So I'm going to click on that topic. And it's going to give me like, here's all of the like basic arithmetic ideas. And I don't necessarily need all of that. For sure, I could have Googled Khan Academy help with multiplying and dividing fractions, and it would have taken me specifically to just that topic. But if you get an account, it's going to keep track of what you've mastered and what you haven't. If I want specifically, right, we're multiplying fraction. Here it is in Unit 10. I can click on that specifically. And then there's lots of stuff in here. There's a place to learn where it's going to be a video of someone teaching and then a place to practice for each of the different topics. And like I said, if you get an account, it'll track your progress and help guide you to the next step. It's not necessary. This is not AI, as far as I know. I mean, I suppose at this point, maybe They've have some AI capabilities built in here. It's been a long time since I've looked at chat, or I'm sorry, since I've looked at Khan Academy. But it is nice because it just does guide you a little bit more and take you through all those topics. Sorry. Uh, and anything that, like, even in the future, if you're like, I'm getting ready to go to calculus or I'm getting ready to go to something else, you can specifically pick whatever topics that you're wanting extra practice in. So, sorry for the distractions in the background, but that gives you three really great options for studying, getting extra practice on any topic that you might need extra help with. And of course, you can always reach out to me. You can always go to the tutoring center. But if you're wanting to find something within the convenience of your own home, those are some good options.